So as we all know, Zenless Zone Zero is about to update to its new 2.0 patch, and in this new 2.0 patch, we are going to be getting the two new limited agents, Yixuan and jufufu. And along with Yixuan and jufufu, we're going to be getting reruns of Astra Yao and Ceasar. The state of these new banners, as well as the rerun banners, has put a lot of players in a very difficult situation because, frankly, this is one of the most high-value patches in terms of characters that you can possibly pick up for your account, because Astra Yao and Ceasar are two of some of the best supports in the entire game. Yixuan is a possible Miyabi level agent, and jufufu might just be one of the most high-value characters that you can pick up for your account, at least right now. So a lot of players have been put in a sort of predicament where they don't really know who exactly to pick up this patch, especially if you're free to play. But I'm here to help you decide exactly what character you want to pick up, especially depending on the state of your account. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So first of all, let's talk about Yixuan. Yixuan is going to be a new Rupture limited S-rank agent who specializes in dealing auric ink damage, or basically ether damage. Yixuan is going to be a very important character to pick up for a wide variety of accounts, simply due to the fact that she is going to be around, if not close to, Miyabi's level. And anything that is slightly Miyabi level is going to be incredibly busted. I would especially recommend newer accounts, or completely new accounts starting in 2.0, to prioritize picking Yixuan up, because she will right out the gate, without anything really crazy, be an incredibly powerful S-rank agent. Even if you don't manage to get her W engine, she will still provide extreme value for your account as an incredibly solid, or rather just an exceptional attacking agent due to her extreme damage output. The one downside with Yixuan that I can see and honestly talk on is the fact that she is an extremely technical character. She has 2 ultimates, 2 EX specials, a parry, you need to time your stuff, you need to know the rotations, she has 2 special resources, which that can be a lot. But if you're willing to put in the time to memorize her rotations and figure out her playstyle, she will be an extremely valuable agent for your account. Next, let's talk about Astra Yao. Astra Yao is the most versatile, powerful support in the entire game. The buffs she provides are just straight up insane, and how versatile she is, being multiple characters best in slots in their best teams, is honestly really impressive. But with all that being said, I would still highly recommend newer players to not prioritize picking her up. I know her buffs seem enticing, but as a newer player, it's better to prioritize getting strong, solid attackers and then looking for buffers and supports for those characters later on, which is also going to come into play when we discuss the next character, but we'll get there when we get there. But for players who maybe started playing during 1.4 and didn't pick up Astra, or started playing during 1.5, I could actually see you picking up Astra, and I could actually recommend you to pick up Astra, because Astra is one of those characters where having her on your account makes your life just a million times easier due to the buffs that she can give. But don't let the buffs that she can give make you jump straight into picking her up, because frankly, having a strong support to buff a mid character is worse than having a pretty alright support buffing a really good character. Next, let's talk about jufufu. Jufufu is going to be a fire stun agent who specializes in a mix of on-field damage and stunning, as well as off-field damage and stunning. Jufufu is going to also be able to provide chain attack damage, ultimate damage, and critical damage buffs through the use of her passives and resources. These buffs are extremely universal for a wide range of characters, so she's going to have extreme value for both the current roster of Zenless Zone Zero and the upcoming roster of Zenless Zone Zero. I remember when I mentioned for Yixuan that she's going to be really good with future supports. Jufufu is one of those supports, meaning that, in my opinion, because of how Jufufu's kit synergizes with Yixuan's kit, for newer players, I would prioritize, because at the beginning of the game you have like a good amount of pulls, not only just from the fact that 2.0 is an anniversary patch and 2.0 is a new patch, you'll have a lot of pulls. I recommend gunning for Yixuan and jufufu, because pulling for Yixuan will also give you the A rank Pan Yinhu, as well as hopefully enough pulls left over to get jufufu in the second half of the patch, and that right there is a team, a really solid team. In fact, I'm pretty sure, for now anyway, that's Yixuan's best in slot team, or at least like second best in slot team, meaning that if a new player just prioritizes picking those 3 characters up, or I guess just 2 since you get Pan Yinhu basically for free if you're going for Yixuan, you will have a complete team. Now, for players who are currently invested in the game, who have been invested for quite a large number of patches, I still recommend trying to pick up jufufu, not only just for the fact that she provides immense value for the current roster of Zenless Zone Zero, but for the fact that her buffs are universal enough to apply to basically any future character. As long as that character is able to scale off of crit rate and crit damage, they will be really good with jufufu. And that's going to be basically every single character in the game, going based off other Hoyo games and other gacha games. So I feel like you should prioritize. If you're not getting Astra, you're not getting Yixuan, and you're not getting Ceasar, you should at least try and see if you can pick up jufufu, because I feel she will provide immense value for your account. Next, let's discuss Ceasar. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video that Ceasar is, alongside Astra, one of the best supports in the entire game, and I wasn't lying, right? I wasn't wrong, but the only problem is that Ceasar is not a single team or a single character in the entire game's best in slot. There's not a single team where the best possible character you can put in there is Ceasar. Now, this may change in the future, but for now, that is the case. And not to say Ceasar's buffs are bad. Ceasar gives 1000 attack as well as a shield, which is incredibly useful. And on top of that, she also provides a decent amount of days, depending on how you build her, meaning that she can kind of function as your team stunner. Not really, because she doesn't really have that much days, but she can function as your team's stunner, as well as a buffer alongside your actual support, which you could derive some sort of value from. But the only problem is that, at least I know, if you had to decide between Ceasar and Astra Yao is several times better in so many ways, and I love Ceasar. I love Ceasar, personality design, I love Ceasar. Even her gameplay, I love her gameplay. But I do feel that if you're looking purely value-wise, especially if you're a new player, Ceasar should be at the bottom of your list for the characters you want to pick up in 2.0. And for me anyway, she is an incredibly easy skip. Now that we've gone over each character separately, it's time to mash it all together into one big old conclusion. So, in conclusion, if you are a new player who started playing the game either in 1.7 or plan on starting the game in 2.0, I would recommend you prioritize picking up yixuan and jufufu. But if you're an established player who's been playing the game for a while now, maybe started either 1.0 to 1.4, I would highly recommend you also try picking up yixuan and jufufu, but you can also consider skipping one of those two to pick up Astra Yao in the case that you don't have her due to her immense value. I would not recommend any players to use their polychromes to pick up Ceasar, because out of all the characters in 2.0, she is the least valuable. Another quick thing to note before we end the video is that in 2.0 we are going to be getting a free 5-star selector as well as a free W engine selector. This should affect who you want to pull, at least if you feel like you don't have enough polychrome to get everyone you want. For example, if you are dead set on getting Astra Yao as a relatively new player, no matter what advice I give you, I highly recommend you pick Soldier 11 for your 5-star and Brimstone as your 5-star W engine, so you can get not only a strong attacker, but probably they're like second best in slot W engine, as well as a really strong support to buff that character, because Soldier 11's best in slot teams contain Astra Yao because of her immense buffs, and I feel that you should capitalize on that. But for the other characters, I don't believe there's any 5 stars on the standard banner. That would be insane with any of them. So I believe that that only really applies if you really want Astra. I would personally still just go for yixuan, jufufu, and then maybe still Soldier 11 so you can have another attacker. But generally, you should just keep the 5-star you are picking in mind while you are choosing who you're pulling for in 2.0. Now, with all that said and done, remember that the most important thing is that you pull for who you want and who you need and who you want to play. So, save your polychromes, stay happy, and let's enter the Waifu Peninsula together. Peace.